Hey guys, it's Turnrow here, and today I'll be covering a short video on how to make your own quests in Warcraft 3. Now the very first thing we're going to do, once you've got your map open, is you're going to go into triggers, and you're going to create a new trigger called Quests Undiscovered. So the very first thing we're going to be doing is create the quests, but have them as undiscovered to the player, just so that when they get into the game and when they're playing the map, they can click on the quest log button and they can see a series of quests that they have lined up for the rest of the mission. Now you don't necessarily have to do this, but it does give a good sense of progression for the player and an idea on how many quests they're going to get in the mission. So we're going to run trigger and run quests undiscovered. Now the first action we want to do is you want to click on Q for quest, and you want to go to create quest. We want to create a required undiscovered or optional undiscovered. Creating just a required or optional will make it so that the quest will appear automatically to the player when they click on the quest log. You want to give it a title. We'll call it The Quest. A description. So when the player clicks on the quest log tab and they view the quest, this is the description that will appear. So you want to say, this is a description, just to see what it looks like. And then the final part is where you can select an icon to be associated with the quest. Now you can use any item you want in the entire game, whether it be a unit or ability, whatever you want. If you want to make use of your own custom icons, then you can do so by going back into this pop-up and clicking on Imported. Now, for this particular map, I haven't included any custom icons, but if you have included them in the import manager, they will appear here for you to select. Otherwise, you just make use of an icon that exists in the game, and we call it. The next bit we want to do is we want to assign the quest as a variable. Just so if we want to refer to this quest later on, when the player actually accomplishes objectives for the quest, which you will inevitably do, we want to be able to refer to this actual quest, especially if there's multiple quests in the map as well. So we're going to give it a name of quest 1. We are going to assign the type as a quest. And we click OK. Next step, we go into new actions. We go set variable, set quest 1 to last created quest. And essentially, if you have multiple quests in your mission, then you would repeat this step or these steps for all of the requests that will appear in the map. So we have triggered this to run at the beginning of the map, so it will show up the instance that the player enters the map. The next thing we want to do is we want to mark these quests as discovered, or mark a quest as discovered and show it to the player. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new trigger. We're going to call it Quest Discovered. And in this melee initialization trigger, we are going to, for example, have the game wait a certain amount of time. Now what campaign quest delay is it's just a placeholder for 3 or 4 seconds, just to save us from having to type in 3 or 4 seconds. It's entirely up to you if you want to use it or not. I make use of it within my own campaigns. And then we're going to run a new action, go to trigger, run quest discovered. Now, in order to mark a quest as discovered, you will have to go into New Action, Quest, and then mark quest as discovered. So we select quest 1, which is the variable we've assigned to the quest. Now, there is a couple of other things we need to do in addition to this. The first one being is that a quest usually has objectives, which is something like go here or destroy this enemy base. So once your quest has been discovered, you will need to create these quest requirements. And you can do so by going into Quest in Actions, and we go Create Quest Requirement. We create it for Quest 1, and then we say, for example, go to point A, and we can create another one, which I will do so by clicking on Control-C and then Control-V for copy and paste. And then I'll go to point B. Now you will need to assign variables to these quest requirements as well, for the same reason why we assign variables to the actual main quest. So we go quest requirement 1, and we give it a type of a quest requirement. Go copy and paste, and we'll name this to number 2. So we go set variable, set quest requirement 1 to last created quest, and we do so for the second quest requirement. So in regards to having a quest discovered and having their quest requirements show up, this is all you need to do. But there is one important part that is missing, and that is actually alerting the player that the quest has been discovered. So one other thing we need to do in addition to this is we need to display a message on the screen alerting the player that the quest is available. And we do this by going into Actions, Quest, and making use of this quest message action. So there's only 2 things you need to worry about with this particular message. The first one is you click on the quest update link, and you will notice that you have a list of all these different options. We will obviously be making use of the quest discovered for this particular trigger, but you'll also notice that you have the options of quest update, completed, even hints, warnings, new units acquired. What this all means is that when the quest message displays to the player, it will play a particular sound depending on the type you've selected. So if we choose quest discovered, then when the message displays, it will play the sound that is consistently used in the Warcraft 3 campaigns of the sound that is used when a quest is discovered. Or if we selected on a different one like hint, it will play the hint sound that is used consistently through Warcraft 3 campaigns when a hint is displayed on the screen. So that's what this particular type means. And then we get to type in the actual message. Now, we can type in the message, for example, we go main quest to outline that it is a main quest that is available to the player. Next, we type in the quest, which is the name of the quest, and then we type in the requirements, which we go to point A and go to point B. Now, there is no restricted way on writing this message, but the way I'm showing you is pretty much the way that you will consistently see messages in regards to quests displayed within the original Warcraft 3 campaigns and in my own campaigns as well, where you have the title, which is what the message is about, you have the name of the quest, and then you have each of the quest requirements in order that they appear. Now, one thing we can do in addition to this is we can color coordinate this main quest text in order to distinguish it from the rest of the message, which is also something that is consistently used in the original Warcraft 3 campaigns. And how you do this is by making use of particular characters, which is pretty much this text here. Now, what this text does is it is a placeholder for text you want to display in a particular color. So if we copy over this, it will mean that this main quest text will now display in a different color. And you can specify what this color is through these 6 digits. And this color is for a goldish sort of color. But if you want to make use of your own colors when color coordinating text, then all you need to do is go into Google, for example, and you type in something like RGB hex for blue, for example. Now, for those of you who don't know what an RGB color is, it's essentially a way of identifying a color in the world of computers. So there's different forms of identifying a code or a color. One way is by using hex. Hex is essentially a 6-digit character representing a color. So we can click on the first link that shows up, for example, and you can see that we can make use of blue by using these 6 digits. If we wanted to use several colors as well, we can type in at the top, we can type in green, press enter, and we can use these 6 characters in order to identify green, for example. And which we can do so by copying into the text area. So we delete these 6 digits that are just before our main text, where you go backspace 6 times and you click on paste. And now we have changed the color from a gold color to a green. But of course, we want to keep the colors consistent with how they are in Warcraft 3, so we'll just undo that. Now, one very important note to be aware of is that you will notice that there are a bunch of strange characters at the beginning and at the end of the title that must be there in order for the color coordinating to work. It's very easy to accidentally delete these characters or to input characters between these codes that will prevent it from working. So if you test this in Warcraft 3 and there is a problem with how this particular line is displaying, it means that a mistake was made when either pasting the code in or editing it, and you have to correct it. So we've pretty much created our own message. We click on OK. And so here we have a very basic usage of, we have a quest discovered, we create the quest requirements for the player so that they will appear within the quest tab, and then we display a message to the player alerting them that the quest has been discovered and detailing them the name of the quest along with its requirements. So having a quest discovered is all well and good, but what if we want to, for example, have the quest update? Well, in that case, what we will need to do is we'll need to create a new trigger, and we call it quest update. And we are assuming for this particular trigger that the player reaches this point. So we want to display and mark this request requirement as completed, which we can do so by going into the quest update trigger. We go to new action, and we go quest, and we go mark quest requirement as completed. So we mark quest requirement 1 as finished. And then we simply display the message to the player that the quest requirement has been completed. So again, we go into the quest message, we go quest update, since a different sound will play, and then we go back into this message here. We can leave this line as it is. We leave the quest actual name as it is, and for this we want to color coordinate it gray to represent it to the player that it has actually been completed. So what we're going to do is we're going to go copy and paste, and we're going to delete this main quest. Again, be wary of not deleting any characters you're not supposed to. And we go to paste. Whoops, accidentally left out a character there. Now, we want this to display as gray, which you can do so by looking up on Google on how to get the hex color for gray, but I have already got the color within the text file, so all I need to do is just copy, delete these last 6 characters and go paste. And so now this quest message will display to the player of quest update, and it will have this quest requirement grayed out, indicating that the player has completed the quest requirement. We click on OK. And then the last thing we would probably want to do is we want to have the quest complete for the player. So again, we create another trigger, we call it quest completed. We do the same, we go to new action, quest, and we go to mark quest requirement as completed. Then we go back into this quest update to get the message. We select the quest message as quest completed. Now we change this title to indicate that the player has finished the quest. There's no point in displaying the quest requirements, so we can get rid of that. And this will essentially complete all the remaining or the last quest requirement for the quest, and a message will display to the player alerting them that the quest has been completed. Now, one thing we haven't done is we haven't made it so that these triggers run at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into units, and we're going to place a paladin on the map. And since our quest requirements is for the player to reach a certain point, we're going to have this achieved by making use of regions. So if the player reaches this region here, we double click on it to give it a name. We'll call it region A. And then we create another region over here. We double click on it, call it region B. So we are going to create an additional trigger. We're going to call it player reaches point A. We're going to set a new event that will make this trigger run when a unit enters region A. We're going to do a condition check to make sure that the unit that is entering the region actually belongs to the player. So we go, if the owner of the entering unit, which is the unit entering region A, is equal to the player, which in this case is player 1. Now, the first action we're going to do is we're going to go to trigger and go turn off this trigger. And what this will do is it will prevent this trigger from running several times if it has already run, or if the player has already reached the region. And then we're going to go to the next trigger and we go run quest update. And this will make it so that when the player reaches this region with one of their units, it will mark the first quest requirement as completed and display the appropriate message. And likewise, we can do the same with point B, where we just rename this trigger, a unit enters region B, and instead of displaying the quest update, we display quest completed. So here we have a basic functioning quest, which simply at the beginning of the map, after a few seconds, it will display this quest as discovered, and it will show what the player needs to do. And then we have it so that once the player reaches certain regions or points in the map, the quest will either be marked as update, and if the player reaches both those regions, then the quest will be completed and the appropriate message will display appropriately. Now, one thing I've forgotten to do when creating this quest completed trigger is that we have marked the quest requirement, the last remaining quest requirement, to be completed, but we haven't actually set the overall quest to be completed as well, since they're two totally different actions. So we can correct this by going into new action, quest, and then marking quest as completed. And so now, when the quest completes, or when this trigger runs, it will show both the quest and its remaining quest requirements as completed by the player. One final thing to let you know is that I will be including these special characters and codes I have been using to color coordinate the quest message texts, just to make it easier for you guys to incorporate it into your own maps. But other than that, that pretty much finishes everything we need to know about making a standard quest in Warcraft 3. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial video, and if you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys next time. Bye now.